Hey everyone, this is Twisted. This is going to be part of a series of video tutorials for the beginner who is using Photoshop for the first time to make avatars. This first one is cutting and erasing, and I'm going to try and show you as much as I possibly can. So let's go ahead and get started. Here I have the model I've chosen to use. And to get started on this, we're going to make this layer, which is now a background layer, and it's locked. And if you see the little lock right there, that means that if you erase this background, it's going to be on just a plain white background. And I'll show you that real quick. Or, sorry, it's going to be a plain black background. And we don't want this for many reasons, because really in the end all we're doing is painting, and it's not going to cut the model out like we want to. We want to be able to erase, and we want this background to be transparent. So to start this, we're going to double click on this layer. We're going to rename it to model, and because I'm doing several different techniques, I need to duplicate this layer. And to duplicate, you're going to right click, go duplicate layer. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at model copy. I'm going to need to duplicate it again. And then I need to hide these layers because I'm only using this first one, and these are all visible as well. So over here there's little eyes. If you click them, it's going to hide your layers. If you click them on, it's going to make them visible. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to pick our eraser brush, which on your side panel here of your tools, it's going to look like an eraser. So we're going to make sure that that's clicked. We're going to go here to this magnifying glass. We're going to make sure that the plus is selected, and we're going to zoom in. And zoom in pretty far, about as far as you can take it. See, that's too much for me. The pixels kind of get in the way for me. So back out a little bit. Make sure your eraser brush is selected. We're going to go with a fairly small brush. I usually go to start within the 20s, 30s. And then we're just going to start doing a rough cut around her body. Now the thing that you have to remember with erasing is that as long as you get around her body, you can always go back in and clean her up. So don't think you need to be perfect right away. Now for me, I don't like to run my brush alongside because I don't have a steady hand. So I do just clicks alongside her body. Make sure that I keep going around the model. Now, I'm not going to be absolutely perfect with this one, just so you guys know, and the reason for it is I'm not using her for anything. I just want to make sure that you guys are getting the concept of what it is that I'm doing. With erasing or cutting or anything for that matter, you need to be aware that you are going to be taking some time with it, because in the end you don't want something that's going to have a lot of mistakes in it. So be prepared that you're going to take your time. Be prepared that you're going to be sitting in front of your Photoshop for quite some time trying to get this right. Okay, well, we're gonna stop right about there with this. Um, I'm I'm pretty confident that you guys are understanding what I'm talking about. So just kind of, rest and click around the body. If you need to, you go ahead and add a black background behind her, something that you can erase later. This is going to show you where all of the white lines are and what parts that you're going to need to clean up. So you're going to go in, grab a smaller brush, and make sure that you're aware that you can go down to 1 pixel. So you can get right into those little lines around her body. And you can, get around the edges. Sometimes it's a lot easier. So you just kind of like, probably should make sure my model layer is selected. Just get up close and tight to her body. And as you can see, it's going to start taking away those spots that you really don't want. And we're going to end right there. So with erasing, it's very time consuming. So what I suggest is either put on your favorite show, put on some tunes, grab your eraser brush and just have at it. Because I can guarantee you that this is going to be the most time-consuming part of making any avatar besides the text. Alright, so I'm going to hide this one, and I'm going to show the second one. Now with this one, make sure it's selected, and we're going to grab our polygonal lasso tool. Well, first we're going to make sure we zoom in again. Get right up to her, about as far as we can take it. And we're going to grab our polygonal lasso tool, and that tool is this one right up here. It's kind of got like little points to it. Looks like a hat of some sort. We're going to make sure that that's selected. Now I'm going to warn you now, with this one, once you start, you cannot stop. And what I'm saying is I'm not saying that it's addicting, because believe me, it's actually very infuriating. This is my least favorite mode of cutting, but the reason why I'm saying that is that once you start, you can't click off, and what I'm going to show you now. So say you've gotten almost all the way around. I'm going to go right here, and your I am goes off, or you want to see what's going on in the room, or your song stopped and you want to change your song, and you click off, it connects your selection. That right there is so frustrating because it's happened to me so many times. That's the reason why I say once you start, you can't stop. Go up to the selection, click on deselect, grab your polygonal lasso tool again, and start clicking. Just try and get all the way up to your edges. Now, even with this, you're going to have to remember that these cuts are just rough cuts, because again, you're going to have to go back through with your eraser brush, and you're going to have to get up right up against those edges that you missed, and erase those off as well. Alright. So once you see those little, they call them marching ants, but once you see the little marching ants, that means your selection has been made. Now, when you're in this, you're going to want to just erase, and you can, and then just go back through and do the parts that you missed. Or if you hit Alt, if you're on Windows, you hit Alt, you're going to see your polygonal lasso tool be visible right here. You're going to find the spot where you want to start and just click. At this point, you can let go of Alt and start clicking. Now with this, you're going to want to go up here and go to selection. We're going to invert the selection, so go to inverse, and then we're going to hit delete. And that seemed a lot more simple, right? Like I said, there's going to be, you go up here to selection and go to deselect. There's going to be some areas that you're going to want to go in with your brush and kind of get around. You can see some of the white areas, so you're just going to want to go in and get a little bit tighter with her, which is fine. Like I said, the cutting and the text are like the longest time-consuming parts. Now, my favorite mode of erasing is we call it masking out. We're going to make sure that our layer is selected. And then down here on this bottom little toolbar, you're going to have a trash can. You're going to have what looks like a folded piece of paper, a folder, a circle that's half white, half gray, a rectangle with a little dot in the middle, and an FX tab. We're going to go to the rectangle with a little dot in the middle, and we're going to click it. And what it's going to give us is this white piece of paper. This is called a mask. What masks are and what they do is many different things, but what we're going to use it for with what we're doing right now is anything you paint in this white piece of paper is going to erase. Anything you paint in this white piece of paper with white, it's going to add it back. Now, the reason why this is my preferred method of cutting is because the eraser tool, Photoshop, only allows you to go back so many steps. The polygonal lasso tool, if you click off the screen, you're going to lose your selection. Masking out, you don't have to worry about how many steps you need to go. You don't have to worry about clicking off the screen. All you need to worry about is grabbing your paintbrush, which looks like a paintbrush. Make sure you're on 100% hardness. We're going to take the size way down again. We're going to zoom in. And we're just going to paint. Oh, we're going to make sure that our opacity is at 100%. And we're going to just paint. So just start painting around her with black paint. And you're like, but Twisted, it's black. And isn't that mean that all you're doing is just painting the background? Well, no, because we have that black layer right there to show us where our mistakes are made. So if you click that off, you're going to see the black and white checkered, which means it's a transparent layer. However, I like to work with a black background in the back because it shows me any mistakes that I have made. So again, this is going to take a lot of time because you're going to want to try and be as close to her body as you can, or her clothing, and you're just going to want to take your time with it. I mean, avatar making or graphic making or whatever, this is our hobby. It should be fun. So knowing that it's going to take time, at least you're well prepared. Put in an audiobook, put on some music, You got a television right next to you, put on your show, go and chat. Because with this, at least you can, click off and answer your IM, and you're not worried about losing the selection. And you can always come back. So what I was saying is anything in black, it's going to take away. Anything in white, it's going to add. And the reason why I say that is that, you're like, oh, my show is on, and you turn and you look, and for some reason your finger's still down on the button, and you go, whoop, and you're like, oh, crap. Now, you could go Control-Alt-Z, or you can grab some white paint, and you can just start filling that back in. Now, say you're 20 steps down the road. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go. I don't know anybody that would actually do that, but some weirder things have happened. And you start clicking down the line. And the thing is that you're like, well, I didn't go 20 steps. Well, you actually are. Every mouse click is considered a step. Every teeny tiny little mouse click is considered one step. And every time you click it, you're that much farther away from your undo. So, alright. Like I said, say you're down the line, you just realized that you just erased half of her face. If you had the regular eraser brush, you couldn't go Control-Alt-Z. And like I said, every one little step that I've taken, that's as far as it's going to go. Can't get any more done. Can't even go up to edit and go step backwards because it's blinked out. So this is a point where you would grab your white paint and you can start filling her back in. Which is pretty awesome, right? So we're gonna stop right there with the whole masking thing. I'm confident enough that you guys understand what is going on. Anything in black is going to take away the background. Anything in white is going to add it back. So as long as you remember those pretty simple rules, I mean, you can use masking to cut, which for me is my preferred method. I know a few other people prefer it as well. And it's it's a lot. It keeps your sanity. I mean, in the end, you're going to find your own way of doing stuff, and that's the way it should be, especially with Photoshop. So to recap, we use the eraser tool. We used the poly lasso tool, and last but not least, we masked. So there are, a few other ways, but these are more of your standard ways. The other ones, really, I don't even think showing them to you is going to be any helpful or beneficial, because in the end, these are the easier ones. These are the ones that I use personally. These are the ones that some other people use. And if you think that you want to learn how to use the other ones, you can go ahead and, write me an email or a PM, and I'll be more than happy to throw up another tutorial on cutting and erasing. What I'm going to say is stay tuned, because next we're going to be working with layers.